So it's one of the most publicised sporting events of the entire year. But how much profit is available for sports traders at the Cheltenham Festival? Is it really worth taking the week off work? So I've seen several comments this week from people saying online that they have booked the week off in advance purely for the Cheltenham Festival so they can sit at home and trade it. And you know, that's fair crack, especially if you are a sports fan and you enjoy watching the Cheltenham Festival. But it left me thinking, you know, is it something that is really worth doing? Because I've also seen other people commenting saying that they feel like they're going to miss out next week because they will be at work, which is exactly why I've created this video, just so I can share a few thoughts about that. As somebody who, in the past, when I did have a job, many moons ago now, booked time off to trade the Cheltenham Festival, and somebody who's traded it for, the last 10 years or so now. So in this video I'll answer that question, and I'll also spit out a few figures as to, you know, how much profit is available during Cheltenham week. Look, before I get started, I just want to be completely clear with this. I've had some very good Cheltenhams, very profitable ones, and I've had some very frustrating ones too. So it can swing either way a little bit. You've got to remember, it's just 1 week of the year, and you only get 1 week to actually practice this per year. So don't build it up too much on yourself, particularly if you're at work or if you're going to miss half of the races each day, because you could set yourself up for a little bit of a fall, feeling like you've missed out, kind of like that scarcity thing. So I'll be quite honest with you, I don't try and put that godlike image of myself out there online like some people do, saying that they never make mistakes. In previous years I have made mistakes at Cheltenham. You know, I've had a couple of good races, and then I've had one race that's knocked me back the profits for 2 or 3 races in a row. That is the nature of the game. That will happen at points, particularly if you're pushing too hard, trying to be greedy, trying to stake too much, etc, etc. At the end of the day, look, we all make mistakes. It's just that at Cheltenham the profit and loss tends to go bigger and higher and lower, so you know, the mistakes hurt a lot more basically, even though the wins potentially, if you can trade, should outweigh those losses. So how profitable can Cheltenham be? I think the answer is obvious, to be quite clear. You know, I'm not going to faff around and beat around the bush. I'm going to keep this short and concise in this video. Very profitable. You know, you just got to think, if there's 10 times the amount of liquidity and money pouring into the exchange, either side of the book, back and lay, if people are staking more than they would traditionally on normal day-to-day standard horse racing, then there is more opportunity. So increased matching, notice I said matching, and liquidity, not unmatched volumes sat in the market, gives increased opportunity. But of course not everybody favours those conditions, so it's important to know your strengths. Because if you are somebody who likes to exploit low liquidity markets with big swings in price, huge amounts of uncertainty, potentially on lower stakes, then Cheltenham might not be for you. If you're somebody who prefers solid markets that are high turnover, not huge movement in prices, then you're likely to benefit a lot more from Cheltenham. So if that's your approach and trading style, then Cheltenham is probably more valuable for you, especially if you're one of those people that are looking at booking it off for the week. And I think also it's really important to add in here that you should sow in the whole experience of it, because Cheltenham is an experience once a year. The media puts a hell of a lot of effort into it. So everyone's probably sitting on the edge of the seat that's still watching this anyway, that want to know how much can you make in a week at Cheltenham. Now, I can't say the upper levels because I'm not the most profitable person on Betfair, and I wouldn't have you believe that. But 10 grand in the week is absolutely fine for anybody who's sort of worth their salt as a trader in horse racing markets. You can probably potentially make way more than that. I'm sure there's people that have made more than that in a day at Cheltenham, although they're probably extremely few and far between. But there is a lot more money on offer. Like I say, if you drastically increase the match volumes, you drastically increase the opportunity. With the increased profits comes increased problems such as premium charge. It's important to mention this in this video because I know that there'll be a handful of people out there that start screaming premium charge as soon as you start talking about profiting on Betfair, particularly people who don't like Betfair like bookmakers. But premium charge does exist. It's an unfortunate truth for the end user, if I'm honest with you. It means you get to pay Betfair a load of money for the benefit of winning, but there's no other platform quite like Betfair in terms of having match volumes trading through the markets. Throughout Cheltenham week, depending on where you are on your journey, and this is why there's always these variable answers for these type questions, it could be beneficial that you used another exchange. So if you are a higher rate premium charge payer, then you might want to focus some of your attention on, say, Betdaq to trade. They have trading tools too. Although the problem comes with that, there's drastically less money matched on Betdaq, and the trading tools aren't quite as good because Betdaq don't invest as much money in trading tools and stuff like that in their API. So you've got to weigh it up really. You know, is it a case of you want to take the safe money from trading Cheltenham on Betfair and then give a big chunk of it back to Betfair through premium charges, or is it that you're willing to not pay the premium charges, trade on Betdaq, and have a slightly worse experience and a bit less match money in the markets, meaning you might not even make those profits in the first place. So you've got to work it out. An interesting point this year round is that, you know, last year, in previous years, I've seen a lot of hedging money drop into Betdaq last minute on Cheltenham, and I suspect that that comes from places like Ladbrokes. Obviously GVC own Betdaq, Ladbrokes and various other websites across the internet to do with betting, so it makes sense. If they're going to dump their liability somewhere, then they're probably more likely to dump it on their own betting exchange, Betdaq. So that could be something worth looking at there. But you know, that'll be interesting this year. Aside from the matching problems, liability dumps at the end could be interesting. Could provide an extra profit margin for people that are sitting there skimming off the value. And you have to remember, like, I mean, some people might be looking at this going, well, yeah, it's great if they dump some liability and it moves the price 5 ticks. This is Cheltenham, yeah? There's huge money traded, and 3, 4, 5 ticks on fair stakes makes a nice profit very quickly. So just bear that in mind. Also, it's important to remember that this is the very first Cheltenham where Betfair have offered standard commission structure of 2%. So I'll be watching the markets. I'll be interested to see if more people come back to the betting exchanges and place more betting volume there because of this 2% basic rate that Betfair introduced probably 6 months ago or so now. So that could potentially bring a little bit more liquidity, a little bit more life back to the markets in Cheltenham. Whether that happens, I don't know. It'll be an interesting watch. But there's, you know, all the right sounds are coming from that direction rather than increased charges over the last few months. But I think the last thing to say is just make sure that whatever you do, whether you have it off work, whether you don't, whether you watch it, whether you are trading it, whether you're trading it seriously or you're just having a dabble, right? Make sure you enjoy Cheltenham. It only happens once a year. The racing media put on a huge amount of effort. The viewing quality is far better, and you know, I can think of far worse ways to make a few quid. Oh, and don't forget to check out caanberry.com for extra trading help throughout the week.